Okay, hi guys, good evening. Am I audible?
And good evening, you are audible.
Yeah, fine. Okay, so before starting today's session, so I would like everyone to join in this classroom. Okay, so this classroom is something that where I will be posting some questions or something like random tasks, and I will also be posting a few notes and sort of like any important updates or any important things which we have missed in the during live sessions. So those all those things you can find here. So I'm sharing the invite link in chat. You just hit on that and you can join right away to the classroom. Mm, Once you join in the classroom, you can able to see all the things which is posted in the classroom. Okay, so that I would request you to do that thing immediately. If you are facing anything, we can right away solve it. Any issues while joining, I can right away solve it. So I just posted invite link in chat. Just hit on it and try to join in the classroom. And if you face any issues, just please let me know. Okay, so so coming to the topic which we have been discussing. So before starting the topic, I want you guys to answer few questions. So only one question I will be asking today. Based on that, we will be going to understand based on that question actually. So the question is something. So what are the things? You have decided to work with HTML. So what the things you need to focus? What the thing you need to focus? I want only. Yesterday we have discussed the three things which need to be focused, or you need to understand that the three things very in a clear manner so that you can easily work with HTML. So what are the three things? Just you can chat, you can type in chat, or you can unmute yourself and answer. So I want to hear from everyone what are the three things which is required for understanding the working with HTML. Understanding the working with HTML. So yesterday at last, while we are leaving the session, I just have mentioned at last of the session. So if you are up to the sessions following the sessions up to yesterday, you might have already known about that. What are the three things that are essential for understanding HTML, and what are the things are basically the question. Basically, I can say that what are the things which are necessary for working with HTML. So what are the things you need to know? That is my question. So you can unmute yourself and you can say, or else if you have anything issues to speak out, you can just type in chat so that we can go ahead with the answers. Maybe I believe six members or five members are there. Maybe Deepika, Gayatri, Girish, Guruteja, Nikila. So I want you guys to answer. So what the three things which are essential for understanding HTML? I have mentioned yesterday. Clearly, I have mentioned. You need to be very maybe if you have rewind the video, you could easily get it what I'm asking. So pin drop silence. What I need to understand. Are you able to understand the concepts or something like you are lagged anywhere or if you are facing anything issues? Okay, okay, no problem. I'll quickly give you a glance about that so that don't forget about that in future. Okay, so when you're trying to understand, when you try to work with HTML, the first thing you need to understand is something. Where is this? Okay, yeah, the concepts understanding required for working with HTML. See, I have mentioned here concepts understanding required for working with HTML. If you are intended to work with HTML, you should definitely have a knowledge about working with elements, that's a tags or elements, and working with attributes and working with structure. Okay, these three things I just gave you a glance about these things yesterday while we are leaving at last moment. Okay, today we will be discussing these things in a detailed manner. Okay, in a detailed manner, I will be letting you to understand these things so that you would be very much comfortable while working with HTML. Okay, so the first thing which I have mentioned here is tags or element. Okay, tags or element, and second thing is attribute, and third thing is nothing but a structure. Okay, the first thing I already said you yesterday what is an element. So our motive is to bring physical business to online business. To bring physical business to online business, we need to develop application. To develop an application is nothing but a content. So to develop a content, you need to you have chosen to use HTML. So to develop a content using HTML, you need to understand what is the building block of HTML. So basically, the building block of HTML is element. Okay, the building block of HTML or the building block of content is element. So content is nothing but the content might have text content, it might have image visual content, it might be image, it might be video, anything, but ultimately that is a content. So to build such type of content, we are trying to employ HTML. So basically HTML, using HTML, if you are intended to build the content, we need to use elements are something that which actually build up the content. It might be text element, it might be image element, it might be video element, it might be your link element, any element, anything, whatever the thing which you are seeing on the web page are completely known as elements, completely built by elements. So that you need to very much clear. So you should never forget about it. Something like you should be very much aware of this thing. So the building block of HTML, the building block of content is element. So here you need to very much and you need to have very much understanding about element. So I'm stressing this point. Whatever, wherever you go, you all over the universe, all over the world, the building block of content in HTML is element. So you will be utilizing the elements and you will be combining the elements to form a document. See, if you are able to see this complete page, this is something like a document. It has many things. It has sidebar, it has navigation bar, it has something a visualized content like image, it has something like buttons, all these things. You are combining all the elements into a document. That is actually HTML page. Okay, you are trying to build a HTML page, and HTML page has a content, and content is nothing but the last element, the last thing which is in content is element. So that you need to understand. Okay, the first thing is element. Next, I already said you about attributes. So here I will try to give some practical examples in a while, but you understand the elements are building blocks, and to control the element behavior, to control the element behavior, so that how element would be visible, how the element should be visible, how the element should be presented. So the color of element, the height of element, the size of element, that you would be deciding with the help of attributes. Okay, so you just simply understand something. So when you are trying to build a content, the elements are building blocks, but to have a granular control of its presentation, granular control over the presentation of element, you need to make use of extra thing called attributes. So this is something that attributes are something which actually gives you much control of element presentation. Okay, these two things you remember. Elements are building block of content, and to control presentation of elements, we are making use of a concept called attributes. And the last thing is nothing but structure. So structure. So when you are trying to work with HTML, you need to be very much particular about the syntaxes, and you need to very much particular about the how actual syntax, actual structure of HTML page would look like. So what actually you need to start with, and what are the tags you need to use, and what is the internal structure of HTML page which you are developing, and what actually internal structure has. So those are all those things you must be pretty clear. So these three things are required for understanding the working with HTML. Okay, now we will be directly jumping into first I will be giving you glance about this element. So yesterday we have started and we have understood what is an element and how we will be writing. Element is something that a component of HTML document that typically has start tag and content and end tag. And I gave you an example. See here, you could able to see something like this is a start tag and this is a content and this is an end tag. So what actually see here the syntax. This is the syntax of each element. So this is known as a paragraph element, and this in this paragraph elements you can see the components. So the first thing which you are seeing is start tag, and the class here, since you are seeing something class equal to intro, this is known as a attribute. I will explain you what actually attribute will be doing. That in a while I'll be explaining you. But remember everything. The attributes are written inside the start tag. Just remember the syntax. To write a element, what you are doing, you just write a start tag, then followed by a content, then end tag. And inside start tag, you are going to write attributes. So these attributes should be written inside the start tag. Remember, attributes are written only inside the start tag. Nowhere you need to write. You need to define attributes for element. Okay, you need to define attributes inside the start tag only. And as usual, the content goes after the start tag, and then after the content, you will be seeing the end tag. Okay. Now here comes the components of HTML. Now I just gave you the components one by one. I'll be trying to explain you each and everything with by first I'll be giving you the concept, then I'll be trying you to I'll try to code some few tags, few elements, then you'll understand better. Okay. Now see here inside actually components of HTML. HTML elements has first tags. Tags are nothing but start tag and end tag. So the start tag and end tag are components of HTML element. Then again you have something called attributes. Attributes is sort of like a component of HTML, and another component of HTML is something like content. So in HTML, what you have in HTML element, you have something called tags, attributes, and content. Tags are nothing but start tag and end tag, and attributes are something like which are written inside start tag that actually gives you control and presentation of element. If you are trying to present an element with color, with some height, with some texture, with some style, so then you need to make use of this extra thing called attributes. Okay, and attributes are written inside the start tag. Okay, this is about start tag, and there are something these are something like all the elements which you write inside the HTML. When you are working with HTML, you are working with elements. So the elements has the elements first component is called as tags. So and each and every element which you write in the document will definitely have a start tag and end tag. So okay, opening tag and a closing tag. Then there are some tags, there are some elements. Okay, I will be categorizing that elements in next class. But remember, HTML with the help of HTML, you are trying to build a content. So content is nothing but group of collection of elements. That elements are something like what I'm saying. Each and every element has some start tag and end tag, but there are some elements which have only start tag and there will be no end tag for those elements. Such type of elements are known as void elements. Don't worry. Now you just listen you just hear, just understand the word, understand the thing. But I will be giving you precise information and complete information about elements in coming class. But for now, remember there are lots of elements in HTML. So every HTML element should have opening tag and closing tag. So there are some exceptional elements that has only start tag, then they won't have end tag. Those type of elements are known as void elements. Don't worry, here I gave some example, br, image, input. I will explain you what actually those things in coming classes. But you just remember there are two types of elements. One is element with a pair tags. It's on paired elements. It's sort of like it has both start tag and end tag. But you have something called void elements. Void elements are nothing but it has only start tag, it won't have any close tag. So that's about tags. Then see, I'm saying you attributes, right? Attributes are something that provide additional information or behavior to element. In simpler words, I want to say you something that if you want to give color to element, if you are trying to present a paragraph, or if you're trying to present a heading, or if you're trying to write something on the document, then in that scenario, if you are wishing to have some colored document, a paragraph with different colors, then you need to make use of these attributes. That attributes actually control the element behavior. Control the element behavior. It's sort of like it controls the presentation of element. Ultimately, you are presenting something. You are presenting something to the user, where these attributes will control the presentation of element. So that is about attributes. No worries. I will be yesterday someone asked about what is the difference between tags and attributes. Remember, tags are nothing but tags are nothing but that is a marker for element. Tags are nothing but a markers for element. It would be start tag and end tag. But tags and attributes are completely different concept. Tags are something that marker for elements where it has opening tag and closing tag, whereas attributes are something that for giving extra behavior or to control the presentation of element, to give additional information for element. Suppose if you are trying to write if you're trying to create a paragraph element, if you are trying to create a paragraph element, and that paragraph element should have an external feature called colored paragraph, then you need to make use of some attribute that actually gives that color to element. So here what you are doing, ultimately you are controlling the behavior of presentation of element or behavior of element, and also you are providing some extra additional information for element. So that's all possible with attributes. So this is the major difference between tags and attribute. Never ever confuse with what are tags and what are attributes. Tags are nothing but markers for elements. Markers are nothing but start tag and end tag. And attributes are something like attributes which give additional behavior for element. Okay, that's all about tags and attributes. Now actual content is something that what you will be writing. So it's sort of like if you write I am Deepika or something, I am Gayatri, I'm Girish, I'm Guru, something these are guys say. You are trying to write, you are intended to write some content. So that content is something which you need to write between start tag and end tag. Okay, that's theory part. I will be showing that in showing you through an example by writing. Just we need to wait for a few more seconds. So next thing, how do we build? Actually, right now you got information about tags. What are tags? What are attributes? And what is content? Tags, attributes, content. After that, you want to understand how do you build a HTML page? How do you build a web page by using elements? How do you build? So to build a web page, the first foundation knowledge is you want to know about elements, you want to know about attributes. That's already finished. You finished the first part, like knowing about elements, nothing but tags, and also attributes. So after knowing about these things, you immediately need to understand the structure of HTML page. There is a defined structure. There is a defined structure, and every developer, whoever working with HTML, should follow this structure. Should follow this structure. That structure you need to understand why this HTML. So you would be asking something that this structure is it defined structure? Yes, it's a defined structure, and you need to definitely follow that structure. And inside the structure, you need to where you need to build the content. Where you for a web, if you're trying to build a web page, so there are some components which you need to give for web page. That components you need to be embed inside HTML page. So how you'll be doing those things, I will be explaining. So when it comes to structure of HTML page, the first thing you need to write when you try to write a HTML page, you need to just write first thing doc type HTML. So I will be explaining you why you need to write this one in a while. Just wait for some time. And every time the HTML page which you are building should start with HTML start tag, and it should end with HTML end tag. Okay. See, when I try to remove this one, I'll try to remove this one. Okay. If you are trying to build a HTML page, the first thing you need to do, you need to write doc type HTML. Then after you need to start a HTML page with HTML start tag, and it should end. And you better develop something like writing start tags and end tags at a time. Then you would not get under you would not get confused about starting and ending of tags, huh? Because there will be you would be using many more elements inside a parent element. If you can embed some 10 to 20 child elements inside a parent element, then you would be getting confused. To avoid that confusion, just every time try to write start tag and end tag in a page. Okay, now see, when I start to create a page, I just started with writing HTML, then start tag and end tag. Inside this, Inside this next thing what you would be seeing means you would be seeing something. I'll be removing this body part first, then I'll be explaining. So now after writing HTML, the next thing you should be able to write, you should be writing the next thing called head. So in this head there is some after head you want to write body. So this is the defined structure that is universally followed by several many developers across, not many developers, almost every developer need to adapt for this structure. So this is the structure of HTML page. Okay, a simple HTML document that should have every a simple this is a simple one, but every document HTML, even though whatever the example you take in and around like big websites, you would be seeing this structure only. You would be seeing this structure. Yesterday I showed you that one. Okay, you need to start the HTML tag and end the HTML tag. Inside that you need to define head start tag and end tag, and body start tag and end tag. Actually, so why these two are required? These two required. So I want to give you glance about this one. See, this is something, HTML is something like a root element. Okay, this is also element. Remember, I already said you right. Element is something that elements are created by using tags. So this is a HTML start tag and HTML end tag. So this is known as a root element. So this is known as a root element. After root element, you have something called head. You have something called head. Okay, head. This element in these are head element. Inside head element, what you will be writing, and inside body element, what you will be writing. I'll try to make you understand. Okay, I'll just take one example. So I'll try to click on Abibus. Okay, Abibus. Okay, Abibus. Okay, when I try to hit on Abibus, you are seeing some content, right? Logo, navigation, this search bar, this cards, and all those things. The all the content which you are visually seeing must go inside body, So the content which you are seeing on the web page and which is visible for the user, that is actually from the body element. And there is some content which is required for search engines, not for us, not for users. So see, you will be writing something, you will be typing something Google. So you would be, if you type something like Google, so Google, this is search engine. And you can also do something like Bing is a search engine. See, this is search engine. Bing is a search engine. You can, it's also something like similar to Google. And if you do something like Yahoo, Yahoo is also search engine. See, this Yahoo is also search engine. Okay, see, same as Google. And you have something, many browsers across the world. Across the world, there are many browsers. So these browsers should recognize the content of this website. Should recognize the what is the content of this website. If I ask you either of the six members, what is the content about Webibus? You would simply say that it's a ticket booking website where you can book tickets for buses, flights, trains, hotels. So this is you are saying by seeing the content which is actually visually showing for you. But what about for search engines? These are not humans. These are something like a robots. They are machines. Okay. How it knows about the how it knows the content about this website? So you need to provide some information. That information is known as a metadata. Metadata. Metadata is nothing but information about the website. Information about website which is written inside the head element, and here that is not that is not visualized, that cannot be seen by user, but that is utilized by search engines. I'll show you what is that metadata and how do you build that metadata. So what are the elements you will be utilizing for building metadata? So all those things we will be discussing in coming classes. But remember, this is the structure, doc type HTML and HTML and head and body. I said you right. Why we need to write doc type HTML? I'll be explaining. I'll simply give you the core logic. So uh, uh, it's an evolution of HTML. HTML has been since more than 2 or 3 decades. Okay, initially HTML is released as uh, a small markup language, but it evolved as a beast. So such that big entities and big several big organizations are adapting HTML. So HTML has a defined standard called HTML5. HTML5 is something like a living standard now. We can say that it's a living standard, and every HTML page which does that should be built and must be built and recommended to build by using HTML5, because HTML5 is nothing but a it's a name of the version HTML5. HTML5 version has almost all the features which are recently released. So everyone must be able to must should build their web pages using HTML5. Suppose if there is any particular requirement, if you want to downgrade your downgrade your development to behind version, something like HTML4 or HTML3 or HTML2. So in these cases, you are not required to mention this doc type HTML. So if you are not mentioning this doc type HTML, now when users see your website or search engines will see your website, then it will understand that the content which you are building here that doesn't utilize HTML5. HTML5. It's sort of like if you are trying to build a web pages with HTML 1, 2, 3, 4, then you are not required to write doc type HTML. But if you are intended to build a HTML page using HTML5 version, then you must and should write this doc type HTML, because then only it allows you to use all the features which are present in the HTML5 version. Okay, got clarity? So what is the structure of actual HTML page which you will be building? So this is a basic structure, and inside this head, inside this body, as I said, that head has information, meta information, and body has the information that which actually you are seeing in the seeing on the web page. Okay, now let's go into let's go and try to build a web page. So this is the initial knowledge which you want to gain. Okay, now I believe you understood about what is an element, and what is start tag, what is end tag, what is content, and what are tags, and what is attributes, and what is content. So I will be showing one example, then you'll understand very precisely. Okay, for that I'll try to open my VS Code. So initial so for the so if everyone if all the members are connected to computer or your mission, so I would request you to follow with me, so that if you get any issues while you are coding, then we can resolve right away. Okay, so for that thing, first I want to give you glance about creating a HTML project first. Okay, creating HTML project. So you got the concepts of HTML. You got the concepts of HTML. What is required? Okay. Now see. First thing you want to you want to start up. You want to start up. So just create one folder. Okay. Just try to create one folder. So wherever the location you are, just try to create with Control Shift N. If you try to hit on Control Shift N, then it will pop up a new folder. Just create something, a folder name as you decide. So I would be creating HTML project, name as HTML project. Okay, so now this is my location where I want to place my complete project. So it's your responsibility and it's your decision to create a project folder where you are required to do it. You may do it on desktop, you may do it on any other location, that's your wish. So once after creating this HTML page, you want to open this HTML project in VS Code. To do that, what you need to do? So I already gave you an information in one of our previous class. I'll just directly do that one. Just go here and hit on CMD. It will open some command prompt, then hit on code space dot. Then it will open directly this HTML project folder is directly opened inside Visual Studio Code. Just click on Yes, I trust Autos. Okay. Now you are going to create a basic HTML page. So to remember HTML pages would have an extension. So HTML pages would have an extension. Sorry, HTML page will have an extension either h.html or .htm. Okay, so now if you want to understand, if you want to know about what is this HTML and what is this HTML, it's a long story. But remember, you can create three letter extension files and also four-letter extension files. Okay, so HTML, if you write as .html, it's also correct, and if you write .html, it's also correct. So I will try to create one file. Okay, just go to Visual Studio Code and you will be seeing something like HTML project here, the name of the folder, and extreme right side you will be seeing some four options. This option is nothing but a new file, and this option is nothing but a new folder, and this is something like a refreshing the explorer, I mean complete folder structure, and this is like something like collapsing. If you have some nested folders like 10-20 folders, if you want to collapse it, then you can simply do that one. Clicking on this one, it will collapse and it will give the root structure. Okay, now for this one, first I'll try to create new file. Just click on new file, and I just observe this one. I will be giving a name called index.html. You can create either with .html or also html. Anything would be fine. So I'll be going with HTML for now. Just when you try to give HTML, it automatically shows you an icon called angle braces that are actually called as tags. Okay, in Visual Studio Code, if you want to see, if you want to understand that what for type of file is this one means, you can see the icons also. Here you are seeing something like angle braces. So that is known as a tags. Okay, now I have created this index.html. Now remember, so you want to understand, so why only index.html? You can create anything, you can create anything, but it has some prominence. Okay, you can create anything called sample.html. Any file you can create, any file you can even create a file with your name also. But it's always recommended to have you use index.html, because it is something like a default name of a website. So whatever the application you are building, so if you try to see the default name of that application, it would route you to the index.html. So whenever you are writing, and for SEO purpose is something that if you are seeing something, Google search engine, Yahoo search engine, Bing, Yahoo, Yandex. So these all web search engines, what they will do means they have an algorithm where it will directly it will find in a project or in an application, it will try to find index.html file. It will try to find index.html file. That is why, to gain some rankings over internet, to gain some rankings for search engine purpose, you need to maintain some standards. One of the standard is writing your root file as index.html. So you can even write with the 1.html, 2.html, any files, but it is recommended to every time you just use index.html. It's a good practice to denote or some to write your root file as index.html. Okay, once you are able to write your index.html, now I will be creating with I don't use any embed codes for now, but I will try to create one I'll try to create one structure now. Just observe structure. So as I said that, when you are using IDE is nothing but this is an integrated development environment. This is the in the integrated development environment. This is something like code editor, which is VS Code. It has support of many languages across the world. So when you try to write anything, it automatically shows you some uh, suggestions. So these suggestions are because you have given the extension as .html. That is the reason why you are able to see the suggestions which are related to HTML. Okay, as I said that the HTML document should start with type HTML, because I am using HTML5 version. Then after that, I want to write what root element. Root element should be HTML. Okay, see, you are right. I wrote only HTML. Automatically, the end tag is getting suggested, getting inserted. How this was happening? Because it's all because of co-editor which I'm using. In Notepad, you cannot do that one. In Notepad, you cannot do you cannot get this type of suggestions. You need to write and you need to type everything. So it's better to use integrated development environment. But I suggest if you want more precise control of your typing, what you are typing, so you want to practice more, then I would suggest you to go with the Notepad first, then come to VS Code. Okay. So you have built your root element. Then inside root element, you want to build head. Head consist information which is which is useful for search engines, not for users. Not for users. I mean search engines and for users also, but mostly the information which you are writing in head would be something related to meta information. That meta information would be useful for search engines, not for actual users, which actual users. Now next thing you would be having body. Okay. Inside, so this is body. That's it. That's all. You have successfully built one built a general structure, a general and a general structure. I mean the basic structure. Okay. Now see HTML root element and head element and body element. So inside head element, I want to give one. I want to give title of my web page for web page which I am building. I'm just giving title. Okay. For that we have a title element. Title element, inside the title element, start tag and end tag, and title element should be present inside head only, because title is something that which is related to meta information, and title element should be presented inside the head element only. You should not write title element inside body. So if you write also, it won't show any errors. But it's not recommended to write title element inside body. You need to write title element on the head. And what happens, I'll show you in a while. Okay. This is sample page. Maybe I'll write a sample page. Okay. This is content. Now see, this is a title element. Title element has tag, start tag, and it also has end tag. And inside, in between start tag and end tag, you are having something content. Sample page is content. Okay. Now if I try to open this one, you would be seeing some web page. You would be seeing some web page, and see on top you are seeing something. You are observing something here, right? On the tab you are seeing something like sample page. So the title element just serves serves or something like it gives you something, title for your web page. Title element will give you title for your web page. You can write a title for your web page using title element. Okay. This is fine. And for understanding purpose, I just want to prepare one element where you can understand better. So I want to prepare one heading element. So this is demo heading element. Here, as usual, this is also an element which has start tag, which has end tag, and a content. Now when I go here, I need to save it, and I go here. If you see here, you are seeing something like this is demo heading element. Now see here, you have successfully built your web page, and you followed HTML standards, and you just utilized title element to prepare to give the title for your web page. Then after, what you did, inside the browser, you are seeing some content. This is demo heading content. So this is demo heading content is actually written inside the body element. So the content inside the body element is the actual content which you are seeing on the browser. See, browser is address bar, tabs. This is all the part of browser. But actual content, what you need, usually user will see means the content which is present in this white background. So on the white background, what type of content you're seeing? You're seeing a heading element, and this heading element is actually written inside the body. So my point is something that if you want to present your content for user, if you want to make the content for user, then you need to write all those content inside the body element. Okay. Once you are done with this, now see, I'll explain you about the attribute. Okay. Now you rendered the thing which is a heading element. and this has something called a default color. Default color of an element would be something like a black. Okay, now you are seeing something like this is black, and how this is black is how the color of black, how the element is picking this black color. This is something a large it's a huge story, and you don't want to particularly focus on that, because I just give you glance. So this the color of this element is actually decided by your system is something that you have something system which a configured that system is actually presenting this element in a black color, and it might be a configuration which project which with a browser would automatically pick the default color of default color, and it will show the default color. And if you want to override this presentation, so now my requirement is to I want to present this element in a red color. This text should be not in black color, for red color. For that thing, what I need to use, so I am this is a basic ability. This is basic ability. Its presentation of element has happened, but I want to change its presentation. I want to change its behavior. I want to provide some additional ability to this element. So what is that ability? I want to get. I want to make this element as in a red color. For that thing, I would be using one attribute, which is well-known attribute for everyone. Style is an attribute which is a well-known attribute. That attribute would actually give you control over the element presentation. For this one, I would try to write color, color. Don't worry about what I'm writing, but I'll you would also understand in a while. Maybe something like into after 2 or 3 classes, you will be understanding what I'm writing here. Okay. Now, when I save this one, you can go here and you can just see this observe this change. Now you are seeing red color. So you changed the presentation of element. How you have control, how you have changed this one with the help of an attribute. With the help of an attribute. So I have given something like style attribute. Okay. So this is widely used inline attribute. Maybe inline those all those things you would be understanding in future. But for now, you understand attributes are something that which actually gives extra abilities and also provides some additional information and provides some control over the presentation of default element. Okay, this sort of thing is a basic thing which you need to understand. Okay, this is something like a which is basic thing, and actually you need to understand what actually head and what actually body. So I believe you understood about the body. So body is something that which is displayed on the web page, and inside the content, the content which is present inside the data is actually not displayed on the web page, but it is intended for to use by search engines. Okay, search engines. Okay, that's all for that's all about a basic HTML page. So when you so this is something like very basic thing, and you would be doing lots of stuff in future classes. I believe this is the where you need to understand structure and this element and this what is tag and what is attributes. I believe I gave some precise information. If you have anything to ask right away, you can ask right now. Maybe based on your questions, I will be moving ahead. So I expect. Do anyone have anything questions or anything to be asked? You can ask me. We shall wait for 1 or 2 minutes. Then, if that thing you have, we will be going into more topic. Okay. So, do anyone have anything to ask? Anything to ask? If you are not able to speak, you can also chat. You can also give provide ask your queries in chat. Okay. So something like you want to understand about tags, attributes, or something like those things. If you have anything to ask, just let me know. So for now, if you are good with understanding, then I would if you're good with understanding these things, we will go into deeper. Okay. Yeah, I'll wait for a few more minutes. Just let me know. So I believe everyone is fine with till the topics which we have discussed. Okay. I will be explaining these things. Okay. Don't worry about these attributes. What are these ID, class, SRC, alt, ARIA? These all those things would be covered in separate session, which where we'll be dealing with attributes. for now you understand what's the functionality, what is the behavior, and what actually attributes are doing, what actually content tags are doing. That you need to understand. Once you are understanding this thing, we'll be going in diving deep into actual things. Okay, so okay, next topic. Okay, I want to before now you understand something, right? Maybe we'll be starting working, we'll be start working with the HTML elements and attributes, maybe types of elements, how many elements are there, how many attributes are there. So what sort of attributes you want to learn, what sort of elements you want to learn, those all those things we'll be discussing, we'll be discussing. But for this class, I believe you understand the structure. After understanding the structure, I want, as you get the basic information about what are elements. So now I believe you understood the what are elements actually. So what these all the things are, which you have written in this page are elements. And one more thing I want to make you understand, there is a possibility of nested elements. Nested elements is something that so you don't worry about what I'm writing here. So this is a div element. This is a div element. Div element, actually I will give you explanation about what is div element and why it is used and for what purpose you are going to use your div element. As you see something like h1 element, when you write h1 element and if you write some content here, so now same thing I'll be writing here. This is demo heading element, right? Maybe I'll be writing this is demo element. When I try to open this page, when I try to open this page, where is this page? When you try to open this page, you are seeing something like this is heading element and this is demo element. Okay, this is actually the element which is representing heading, and this actually the element which is there present inside the div, and div is not showing the element which is like heading element. Heading element is showing some with large size and small up here, small some font for big font, bigger size. And when you see something like element which is present in the div element has a content which is showing some showing text in a normal font size. Okay, this all the presentation of elements content would be solely depending on element which you are trying to use. If you are trying to use h heading, then the presentation would be something which is defined for heading. If it is something like div, it would be div. If it is paragraph, then span, all those things I will be letting you understand. But you observe one thing, this is body element, this is main element, this is main body element, and you are trying to do something like you are trying to place two elements inside one element you are trying to place. So this type of arrangement is known as nested elements. This type of arrangement is known as a nested element. Nested element is something that a parent element is there. Who is the parent element here? Body is the parent element. Inside the parent element, h1 is direct child of body. It means that the inside body element, the first element you are seeing is something like h1. Okay, and then immediately next you are seeing something div element, and you have two elements which are placed inside the parent element. So now this type of arrangement is known as a nested elements. And nested elements are something that you it is a simple definition. Remember, there will be one element and that element can hold in n number of child elements, n number of child elements. So you can have many child elements. You can even have some 30 20 20 elements, 20 elements. And there are some rules for elements that we'll be understanding later. But see, this is a div element, and again I am trying to remove this content and I am trying to place one more div element inside this one, and this is also possible, and this is also possible. And this is something like, now see this one. Now understand something like h1, this from here to here, these are direct child of body, these are direct child of body. And now body is the parent element, and these all those things are child of body. And when you see this one, when you see this div is not the child of body, it is a child of div element. Div element, which is now div element is a parent element, and this parent element has again child elements. Okay, this is known as a nested structure. This type of arrangement is known as a nested structure, and you will be learning more about those structures in a while, in future in future classes. But for now, you don't want to worry about what actual nested, and you will be learning in future classes about these nested things. But I just want to give you glance. That is the reason I'm just explaining these things. Huh? Okay. Now you are seeing something. Why I have said this one is because you want to understand the DOM. That is the reason why I bring the concept. Okay. Now, after understanding what actually element, what actually tag, what is an attribute, and all those things, now you just focus on the architecture behind the rendering. So now you are writing something code on you're writing some code on editor. When you try to open this page on website, on web browser, you are seeing something content which is not actually what you written. You wrote some content with the braces, some tags which are not which some tags, all those things. But actually, when you try to open the browser, you are seeing only the content which you are writing inside the elements. You're seeing the content which is written inside the elements. So the process, how this process is happening. So the process of conversion of this code into rendering is nothing but displaying. So how this code is being converted, how this code is being converted or translated into web user view. That part, to understand that part, you need to understand DOM, DOM. Then after the DOM, you need to understand HTML parsing. And once you understand the HTML parsing, then you'll be good. You'll be good to go with actual writing of actual writing of code and building the form, building the web pages, and all those things. You would be doing that thing. But for that, I'll try to make you understand first how this DOM is actually working. Okay, so just if you this thing which I am explaining would make you somewhat uncomfortable, not uncomfortable, maybe it might looks like confusing for you, but just stay with me, you will be understanding these things very well. Okay, now see, now as I said, that what I said previously, you're trying to build a physical business onto online. Okay, your motive is to build physical business to online, physical business to an online. For that, you are trying to build an application. So application is nothing but building a content. Okay, so now see, this is a content only, right? I would say this one is a content. I would say this is a content. I would say this is a content. This is a content. Everything is a content. Whatever thing I'm seeing is a content. But this content is something like, here it's a search. Here it's a image. Here it's a here it's a banner. Here it's a button. Here it's a button. Here it's something like a cards. Here it's a search. Here it's a navigation. So but ultimately, what all this is a content only, right? Content only. And as I said, that for building a content, you are building a content is nothing but a collection of elements in a hierarchy. Collection of elements. Content is nothing but a collection of elements. Because see here, you are involving many things. You are involving images. You are involving text. You are involving cards. You are involving buttons. You are involving search. All those things you are involving. These are all something like a different types of content, different types of element. This is different sort of a content. And combinedly, all this text content, visual content, image content, and also button content, forms, all those things combinedly, you'll be calling it as a content. So you are ultimately you are building a content. Okay, you are building a content. And how you are able to build these buttons, how you are able to build this navigation. This is such button, see, this is such element, this is button element, this is text element. So ultimately, you are making use of the elements, but these are arranged in an order. See, you are seeing something logo here, you are seeing something a navigation here, you are seeing something search here, you are seeing something like cards here. So who decides this order? Who decides this order? So as a developer, you are actually deciding the order. You are deciding the order, and you are writing code for rendering this type of interface. This type, you'll be writing something on Visual Studio Code about how you render this content, how you want this content to be rendered. That you would be actually doing it from Visual Studio Code editor. So now, how the browser is able to understand this one, how the browser able to understand this one, and it shows as you are writing, that is showing the code. As you are writing, the code, that is actually showing the output. So actually the concept behind this is this complete thing is known as a dom. Dom is nothing but a document object model. Dom is nothing but a document object model. So I want to give you a quick glance about that one. Dom is nothing but a collection of elements. What we said, content is like a collection of elements. Now we can just relate it dom as a content. Okay. Now if you are building a content, you are indirectly building a dom. Dom is nothing but a collection of elements that in a hierarchy, a tree like structure, where document is a tree of no it's a tree of it will be in a hierarchy order. Hierarchy order is something that you will be able to see the picture right here: window, self, document. Now see, don't worry about all those things. Just observe the part: window, then document, then forms, images, links, layers, and here elements. You will be able to see the elements, right? Forms, elements, images, links, layers. Don't worry about all this one: location, history, navigate. Don't worry about this one. You just need to focus on window, then document, then this link. Particularly this link. This link you need to focus. Okay, this coming here, going here, coming here. This link you need to understand. Okay, so now when you write something on Visual Studio Code Editor, so what actually browser will do means browser will parse this data. Actually, what is meant by parsing, I'll make you understand. So parsing is nothing but understanding the data, understanding the code. So this is the code which you have written in Visual Studio Code, but browser how it understands, that is the main point you need to catch while learning the architecture. Okay, so when you write something like HTML, head, body, title, these things, so when it comes to parsing, HTML has a parser. HTML has a parser, and this is so each and everything. So this is the parser, and this is the process: bytes, characters, tokens, nodes, DOM. See the code which you have written, the code which you wrote here, the code which you wrote. First, it will convert it into byte code. Bytes, because it's a machine. Computer is a machine. It doesn't understand our high level language. So the thing is like you are writing in high level language, which is understandable by user. As a developer, you understand this one, but machine doesn't know what you write. Doesn't know what you write. So machine, what it will do? It will first convert into bytes. Okay, bytes. Then bytes are converted into characters. Okay, based on the codes which you are seeing, something 3C626F, and all the code whichever you written here, you written inside here, it will be actually converted into bytes. Then the bytes are converted into characters. Okay, bytes are converted into characters. Now see here: body, hello, span, world, span, body. See the first thing, it will debug. What it does means, after HTML parsing, after your code converted into this bytes, these bytes are converted into characters, and each and everything will represent a character. And it would be something like, when you see something, this particularly, if you see this one, so this is the part which is going to render on the browser, right? Browser. The first thing you are seeing, body. First, the body is converted into a byte, and after this body is converted into byte, then again this is actually translated into character. After character, again you are seeing h1 here, but here you are seeing hello. So these bytes are particularly for this type of sentence, for this type of code. But we have different code. So based on the code which you have written, the bytes would be converted. So byte would be parsing. The code will be passed into bytes. Then here actually the code which is actually written is body, hello, span, world, span, body. See here you have a body parent element, then inside parent element hello, then inside hello world, and world is in something like, it is in between span. Now how actually DOM will render means, how browser will render this content mean how the browser will render this content is based on the DOM. DOM actually what it does, the code is converted into bytes, and bytes are converted into characters, and each and every character is converted into token. See here, tokens: body is a token, then hello is a token, then span is a token, and the world is a token. and span, and again end tag span. See, every time you'd see when browser see this body with a tag, then it assumes that it is start tag or end tag. Here the body is a start tag, then hello span start tag, again start tag, and world, then again body span end tag, and after body end tag. So now what happens means these tokens are converted into nodes. So how the nodes would be, how the nodes would be appearing means, first what you're seeing body, so it will build a body element. Okay, it will build a body element. Then what it does, after body element, it is seeing hello, so it builds a hello text here. Then after it builds a hello text. Then what it sees along with hello, it is seeing span, so it builds a span element. Then after span, what it sees a world. So span, world is child of, world is present inside the span. So now this is the final structure of DOM structure. This is the final DOM structure formed for this code. And if you see this one, if you see this code, so this is very much big code. And assume something like body, 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 after body you're seeing h1, then you're seeing content, then after content you're seeing a div as as a sibling child, as a sibling, I mean sibling. Then h1 div this div, all these divs are siblings. And again div, likely when you try to represent this structure, represent this parsing, it would be a big tree. Based on this big tree, DOM tree, the browser will understand and it will render the content, and it will render the view. So the thing which you are seeing here, it's all because of the DOM tree which is built from this code. So this code is getting parsed, and after getting parsed, this code is converted into characters. These characters are converted into tokens, and each token is a node, and each node forms a DOM tree. A combination of all the nodes are combined into DOM tree, and this DOM is actually rendered by the browser. That's all about HTML parsing. You would be seeing something like HTML parsing. So now you might have asked me question. So what about this color? What about this color? Yeah, you are correct. So what it happens means, once the HTML, see, I given an example div, this example, for this one I made this parsing. Actually I made this parsing and visual representation here. I'll just provide this one to you. Don't worry about those things. See, along with the DOM, so you built some HTML DOM here. You are understanding, you have successfully built an HTML DOM. What happens if you have something called style, CSS? CSS also has some object model, as HTML has HTML DOM. Remember the word HTML DOM. I am stressing HTML DOM. There is one more DOM which is coming in when you're studying with JavaScript DOM. So you need to understand the functionality of DOMs, particularly HTML DOM. HTML DOM is something that DOM is like collection of elements. It's all about nodes which are in a hierarchy that is actually rendered by the browser by passing the code. After this one, if your code has anything CSS, then again there comes a picture called CSS object model. CSS object model. CSS object model is something that it also creates. CSSOM also creates a tree-like structure, just like DOM. Just how we have parsed this one, based on the tokenization and based on the tokens, based on the characters, nodes, and DOM. This will also CSSOM also will create a tree-like structure while creating the DOM. All elements are present on like CSS also form a CSS object model. And CSS object model. What actually does means, I will show you here. See, here you observe something like a rendering path. How the rendering on browser would happen. See, so actually what happens means, here this is HTML DOM. You are seeing some structure right here. This is HTML DOM. And for this body, you are specifically mentioning font size as 16 pixels. And font weight for this paragraph, you are mentioning font weight as bold. And for this span, you are mentioning font size as 16 pixels, color red. For image, you are writing, these are something like, I said you right. What I said, that with the help of attributes, you can make the presentation of control of, you can control the presentation of element. Now you want actual body font size would be different thing. We can't we predict it from by system, but you are explicitly mentioning something like style, how it looks means. If you want to do so, if you want me to write here, I can write it. Font size, maybe font size. See, you will be, sorry, font size 16 pixels. Okay, 16 pixels. Okay, this is what here it wrote. So for body they are applying CS 16 pixels. Now along with HTML DOM, a CSS CS object model is also get constructed because there is some CSS applicable for elements. So if any elements has CSS applied, then a CSS object model will be coming into picture, and both this DOM and CSSOM would be combining and forming a render tree. And this render tree is actually being understand the browser will understand that DOM this complete render tree, and this render tree is being shown on the browser as a visual interface for user. So remember, HTML DOM is combined with CSSOM when there is when there is any CSS presence for elements. Okay, you are seeing some critical rendering path. Suppose you might get some doubt. Okay, what happens if I have any dynamic functionality? So then also you have one solution. We have some critical rendering path. See here it can see it HTML content, HTML build DOM. Okay, CSS build CSOM. In between there is a JavaScript. JavaScript comes into picture, and JavaScript would also have one more DOM, one more based on the functionality, based on the things applicable for elements. It also has some interference in rendering path. And now these DOM, HTML DOM, CSS DOM, and JavaScript will combinedly forms a render tree. And then after render tree, a layout would be printing. Layout will be preparing. Layout is something that the layout is something which is actually you are seeing on the browser. This is layout actually. And this layout once the layout is prepared, once after DOM, JavaScript, CSOM combined together and forms a render tree, and this render tree will look like this, and this render tree is converted into a layout. Layout is something that what you would be seeing after on the browser. That layout would be painted on the browser. This is nothing but a painting. So the browser is painted with layout, and this layout is actually from where? Render tree. Render tree is from DOM and CSOM and JavaScript. So this is how browser understands and prepares a UI with the help of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. When you understand this thing, so you are not required to focus, remember each and everything, but understand the things and understand the rendering path. So there will be HTML, there will be CSS. HTML will prepare HTML DOM, CSS will prepare CSS DOM, and JavaScript would get involved in between. And after these three combines to form a render tree, and after render tree there will be a preparation of layout, and then layout would be painted on the browser. The final version is paint which you are seeing on the browser. So this is the final version which you are seeing. This is actually a paint of the layout. Okay, that you need to understand. Apart from that, you don't want to stress yourself understanding that thing, these things, but you don't want to memorize these things also, but you want to understand how this is happening. When you understand this critical rendering path, you would be definitely comfortable with understanding few more things which is happening in React. Okay, there is React with a performance optimization. Then actually this thing would be helpful for you. But before that, you need to have a basic knowledge. That is the reason why I bring this concept here. Okay, so that's fine for now. That's fine for now. Tomorrow, what I would be trying to say this. I'll provide this document to you today. Just go through that one and just understand the things. Huh? Okay. Understand the things. Tomorrow we'll be starting with HTML elements, elements and type of elements. What type of elements are there? How many types of elements are possible with HTML, and what we will be doing along with it. So see one thing. I will be combining elements and attributes combinedly. Elements and attributes I'll be mixing up and I'll be discussing. So there would be no there should not be any confusion for you. If you get any confusion, you can straight away stop me at that point, and you can ask me for the things which you are lagging or you are not understanding. Okay, so I will end up this class in 3 minutes. Basically, I'll be covering these elements. You already know about element structure. I want to cover these attributes. I'll be covering these attributes, and tomorrow class I will be explaining type of elements and attribute type of attributes combinedly. Both I will combine. You don't confuse with them, because attributes is a different concept and elements is a different concept. Elements, tags are different concept. Attributes are a different concept. Every developer in their beginning stages, they will be definitely getting confused about what are HTML elements, what are HTML tags, what are HTML attributes. Okay. So I am giving clarity that HTML elements tags are associated, but HTML attributes are different from HTML tags and HTML elements. Okay. That you need to understand. Already I gave you information about tags. HTML elements are building blocks, but elements are basically built with the help of markers. Markers are nothing but start tag and end tag. So this is how it looks like, start tag, end tag. And I don't worry about not tag, self ending tag. I will explain you tomorrow about this thing. You already see that void elements. Void elements will have only start tag. It won't have any both the start tag and tag. That thing I have mentioned. And attributes. Remember, attributes I show, HTML provides attribute provides additional information about HTML elements. In general, these are supporting and configuring assets for elements. You can configure the color, you can configure the height, you can configure the view. All those things can be happen with these attributes. And how do you write an attribute? Attributes are eventually written inside the start tag. Remember that inside the start tag only you'll be writing attributes. And how attributes look like? Attributes would be written in name and value pairs. You need to write name of the attribute and its value. Name of the attribute and its value. If you see here style is the name. Then after style I'm writing equal to, and this whole thing which is writing in, which I wrote inside the quotes, is a value. So name equal to value. So attributes are written inside the start tag, and the first thing before equal to, that's a name, and after equal to, that's a value. So attributes are written every time inside the start tag, and it should be written as name value pairs. Okay, don't worry, you just understand the convention. How is the syntax for now? For now, syntax, just understand the syntax. This is the syntax I want you to understand. Actually, this is the syntax I want you to understand. Basically, I will explain you how you work with attributes. I'll explain you how you can work with attributes. See here, href equal to this. Href is the name, and this is something like I haven't written anything. This is a value. Rel is a name, then value. Name is name equal to something value. Content equal to value. So these all the things are existing. I'll let you know. I'll make you understand. But for now, you understand attributes are something which is written in a name value pairs. That you need to understand. That you need to understand. Tomorrow, I will be mixing both attributes and attributes. See, all the elements can have attributes. Okay, this is fine. This is fine. Name equal to value. So just I want you to remember this one only. Tag name equal to value. That's enough. That's enough. Apart from that, you don't want to focus for now. You just understand the things very well. You just understand the things. Tomorrow we shall write actual code, and one by one, I'll make you understand. So attributes are written in name equal to value pairs, and tags are something like it should have close tag and end tag, and some elements would have only start tag, and attributes are written only inside the start tag. So these basic principles, if you understand, that will be helpful for you in understanding some in-depth concepts. Okay, so this is all for this class. I hope you understood what is an element, what is tag, what is attributes, and what is the structure, what is the basic structure. Then how HTML parsing is happening, and what is actually DOM. So inside the DOM, what happens? DOM is nothing but a collection of elements. Then HTML parsing. Then after that, you have seen about DOM and CSOM, CS object model, and then after critical rendering path, how the browser is getting painted with the actual thing. That all those things you would able to, I believe you have understood those things. If you have any doubts, you can ask me now. We can discuss those things and we can wind up the class. If you have any doubts, you can stay back. If you don't have any doubts, you can drop off, and we shall meet in tomorrow session.